Hi, welcome to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. Thanks to our host, Globe Turnout Gear. I'm Nick Martin, and today Curtis and I are going to show you some tips about how to prepare your standpipe racks for fast and easy deployment. There are a variety of different ways we can rack or load our standpipe racks, and the primary thing that should be driven off of is an assessment of what our operational plan is, our expected manpower, and probably most importantly, the type and style of buildings that we respond to. A couple of things we're going to show you today. First, using 100 feet of 1 3/4 inch. I think it's important that we divide our standpipe racks so that they're light and maneuverable so that one firefighter can comfortably carry them. Having much more than 100 feet of hose in one standpipe rack tends to make it a little bit more heavy and a little bit too awkward for one person to effectively manage. So a simple way we can prepare our 100-foot section here, we've taken our sections, coupled them together, and have them just nicely laid out behind us here. We're going to start with the coupling. Curtis is just going to lift that up. I'm going to slide our strap underneath here. And it's important to note, we're using this style of strap here today. There are a variety of different things out on the market. Again, it's important you do an assessment about what's going to work best for you. There are things that are commercially available, and to be honest, there's a lot of things you can build in the firehouse out of scrap materials for nothing that'll work just as well, if not better. So we've got a little bit of overhang here, and what we want to do is we want to have our overall length of our pack is going to be just enough that when we put it on, it's going to drape evenly from our front to our back, so it has a good balance point and it's neither falling off the back of us or falling off the front of us. So here, we're going to kind of work in a two-team. We're going to make 2 columns. So Curtis working one side, I'm going to work the other. We just bring the hose to us on top of each other. And one thing with any engine company operation is we've got to remember, our hose, if it looks pretty, it's going to pull pretty. So we need to put our hose on there with care, and if it looks nice and it's put away the right way, we can expect it to deploy nice and deploy the right way when we need it in a fire scenario. So with our first 50-foot column, we'll just leave our coupling sitting there for a minute while we do our second 50-foot column. When packing any hose, an easy way to kind of line up our ends and make our ends nice and smooth is just take them and just give them a firm hit with a gloved hand, and it kind of causes a little bit of a crease in the hose, makes it sit nice and comfortably. Now Curtis is going to put our reducer and our nozzle on our 2 ends. It's an important point to note because those are going to be our 2 heavy items. You want to avoid having both of those items in exactly the same place. You want to try and stagger them. That both offsets the amount of material that one strap is dealing with, and also it's going to allow us a couple of different deployment options that I'll show you here in a minute. So we're going to take the nozzle and we're going to secure that at one end, and whatever end the nozzle is not at, that's where we're going to secure our female end. So Curtis has our nozzle secured down at that end, so I'll work on securing our coupling up here, and then we're just going to use our straps to secure our load in place. It's important that the straps secure tightly so that the line isn't falling apart as you're going up the stairs or going down the street. Another important point to remember about these racks is we call them standpipe racks or high-rise bags, etc., but they're really useful for so much more than that. A lot of departments across this country are going to use this style of hose load more often for replacing burst lengths or extending a line, a pre-connect or something, more often than they're actually going to use it for high-rise firefighting. So this is a very versatile hose setup that can be used in a variety of different scenarios. So once we have our line all strapped down, this is what our finished product looks like, and we can see here that it's very easy for one firefighter to carry. It drapes nicely across my front and my back. It's fairly lightweight, and it's very maneuverable. We talked about putting the ends in different ends, or the nozzle and the female at different ends. This is why I want to do this. When I'm carrying this, I want to have this nozzle here at my front. If I'm in a 2 firefighter scenario and my standpipe is over here, my second firefighter can come in and without me taking this off my shoulder, he can begin to undo the buckles. I'll keep the nozzle section on and he can take the female section and go off and couple that, and I can move on down towards my objective or down the hallway, etc. The other option is I can take my line in a 1 firefighter scenario, lay it out down here on the ground, and I want to place my nozzle going towards the fire. I open up my bag, I can take my line, and then these lines this is very easy to just grab as much of a handful as I can get, and I can move down towards my objective, taking in this case just about 50 feet of hose in one hand. So this is one option we can use. It's very easy to make from things you may have laying around the firehouse, and you'll find it's very versatile and easily to deploy in both high-rise and non-high-rise scenarios. So we're going to show you another method, an alternative deployment method for our 1 3/4 standpipes here in just a second. So keeping with the idea that there are a variety of different types of hose loads we can use in our standpipe rack, Curtis and I are going to show you another option here. Also involving 100 feet of 1 3/4 hose. What we've done in preparation is both lengths are separate, and we've rolled them with the male coupling, not the female coupling, on the outside of the load. One coupling has already been connected to our nozzle here. We're going to take our nozzle and we're going to give ourselves about 4 feet of space. Okay? That could vary a little bit depending on the size of the compartment or area on the apparatus that you're going to put it, but just keep in mind that you want a length that is going to, at its end, drape nicely over your shoulders front to back. So using our roll here, we're going to start at our end, and we're just going to use this roll to feed around the outside of the line, just kind of wrapping the nozzle underneath itself, etc. Using this in a rolled fashion prevents the hose from twisting and tangling on itself and makes the evolution a lot easier. If you have a third firefighter, it makes things go even faster and smoother. Once we get to the end of our coupling here, end of our load, we're just going to connect our other length in and continue rolling it around. So we already have our 1.5 to 2.5 reducer on here. We've got our line racks nice and tight. This type of load seems to work best not so much in a commercially available style bag, but just using a few seat belts. So we can find a few old seat belts from, say, a backboard or some old SCBA straps we might be able to get sewn together. And we're just going to lay them out, 3 straps, evenly spaced. The important thing is we want at least one of the straps to cover the heavy portion of the nozzle. It's going to come across there. And we're going to work as a team here so we don't let it fall apart. One firefighter lifts it up as the other feeds it under. And then we can smush it together, kind of using our knees for some pressure as we make our connection. And same with our middle strap and our end straps. Now at our other end, we don't have the nozzle, but we have our reducer here. That's also a heavy assembly. We want to make sure that our strap is also controlling that. These straps are a little loose for us. This one's nice and tight. We want to have our straps as tight as possible so that when you're moving and you're running and you're going up and down those stairs or bouncing across the fireground, your rack stays tight and it doesn't fall apart. But now once again, we have 100 feet of hose that's very easily controllable by one firefighter, even with no hands, and we can take it where we need it. Again, this is very useful not only in a standpipe firefighting scenario, but in a scenario of, say, extending a line on a front lawn or in a hallway. And the nice thing about this load is, as we're going to show you in another video in this season of training minutes, is that this line is going to deploy and self-flake itself out. So simply it just goes down on the ground, we release our straps, our female end gets connected to whatever our water supply is, we spread out our center section here, take our pipe over here, charge this line, it'll form a nice set of stacked coils, you'll have water flow instantly available at the end of the line, and it'll flake nicely out of the top. So there are, depending on the size of hose you use, the style of buildings you run, and the type of equipment you have available, there are a variety of different options on how you can build your racks or standpipe packs or high-rise bags or whatever you call them. Remember to keep them versatile. Remember to keep them good for not only high-rise firefighting, but for extending lines or replacing burst segments. And just remember to always be thinking outside of the box and have plan A, B, C, D ready. Thanks for watching Fire Engineering's Training Minutes, and thanks to our sponsor, Globe Turnout Gear.